It's like 117 years after airplanes were invented, and all of a sudden, everybody is losing their goddamn minds when somebody reclines like that. Have you seen that on the internet? People are like, no, not in my airplane, never. If somebody reclines into you, don't get mad at them. That's never gonna work. Just lean your face into their chair and be like, Oh, yeah. I wish you could lean back further.
A lot of people don't like New Yorkers. It's not that we're bad people. It's just we deal with so many weirdos on a daily basis. It's tough for us to care about what the rest of the country cares about. Like, I travel all over the country. There's places in this country people are arguing over gender pronouns. People argue with you about how you want to be addressed. That's crazy. In New York, nobody's arguing about that because we've been dealing with people thinking they're a different person our entire lives. You want me to call you they? I'll call you they. There's a crackhead in my neighborhood I gotta call Beyonce. That's what he go by. He told us one day, he was like, yo, my name is Beyonce. Then he started peeing on the bus stop. Everybody was like, oh, Beyonce, we got it. This is New York City. We don't got time to argue. We gotta go to work.
And then somebody took a picture of... What the was that? Was a laugh or a sneeze, bitch? Because I don't know if you got the Carnarvius or what the you got. What the was that? What was that? What was that? A queef? What the was that? No, because I don't have to tell these jokes, bitch. It ain't that damn serious. You sneeze, a whole waterfall came up in the sky. I don't know what the is going on with you. How many Chinese people you seen this week? See, this is how racism starts. One sneeze, everybody racist.
Oh, yeah, February and March, man. I'm super tired. I'm super tired. Like, February and March are the best months for Black lady comedians because that's Black History Month and then followed right up by Women's History Month. This is when we stack our bread, right? Before we go back to being invisible.
Not a joke.
All right.
Big news for me. I'm working on having a baby this year. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I don't have like a girlfriend or a stable living situation, but I feel like having a baby's really gonna give me the push I need to get my shit together. You know what I mean? Honestly, I wanna have a baby just so nobody can dictate how long I hold a baby for anymore. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? I feel like every time I hold a lady friend's baby, right as me and the baby start to get along, the mom's always just like, oh, okay. Let me vibe with your baby. I love kids, not even in a weird way. I've always loved kids. I think I've always wanted to have kids, even since I was a kid. I know that's weird, because I think that means I was just sitting in first grade looking around at everybody else like, God damn. I gotta get me one of these, dude. These are tight as hell.
They're developing an app that can block a dick pic. Y'all heard about this? It's too late now. I only got one dick pic in my life. One dick pic. This guy sent me his penis. He liked me, wanted to sell it to me. This penis in this text message was 11 inches long. 11 inches. And my girlfriend's like, you're a big girl. You can handle that. I said, bitch, I'm not hollow. What's wrong with you? Being fat don't mean you empty. There's shit in there. There's muscles and bones. Anything that big under your body, you know what it's called? An intruder. What's that? Is that a lung? Extra organ? You don't need it. You're full.
John Legend, he's a musician. He's been outspoken on social media about global warming, but on Valentine's Day, on that same social media, he posted photos of he and his wife taking a private jet a few hundred miles to have dinner for Valentine's Day, which I thought was pretty badass. This guy doesn't even give a shit that everyone knows he's a hypocrite. At least closeted homosexual Republican congressmen try to hide that. They don't go around saying, we need to ban gay marriage again. And then once Valentine's Day rolls around, they're like, here's me sucking that.
I don't know if you saw this story. There's a group of Girl Scouts that were outside of a dispensary in Chicago selling Girl Scout cookies. And what hustlers, you know? Like, we've come full circle as a society because it used to be that kids would walk out of a store and an adult was trying to sell them weed. Now adults are walking out of dispensaries and there's kids like, hey. bullshit. You hungry? Everybody get hungry. You don't want none of this? I got that Thin Man. I got that samosa. I got that praline. I got that mango cream. I got that shortbread. I'm old enough now that for me and my group of friends, any guy in my group of friends that still can't like get a girlfriend or something, like now it's very clear that it's because of jarring personality flaws. You know what I mean? Because this is the thing, we were all awkward. So I was 15, I'm an awkward man, but I still figured out parts of life. You know what I mean? So then I'll talk to some of my friends like, man, you just can't figure women out. And I'm like, nah, dog, you 30. Like this is something should be happening. You know what I mean? You can't just be like, I'm scared to talk to girls because women are afraid of you. Like I don't know what you need to be doing. I don't know if you need therapy or sunlight, but like something has got to give if we gonna keep hanging out. You know? And I think I found one thing, one really important thing that's probably one of the biggest things when you move out. Like as a guy, when you go out into the world on your own for the first time to make something of yourself, and when you have your first like domain, right? Your first place where you're like, this is my place. Whether it's an apartment, a house, whatever you have. It's so important. As men, we have to, I cannot stress this enough, we have to invest in at least one stick of furniture, all right? Like, a lack of furniture is killing us out here. Everything cannot be on the floor. I can't say it enough, everything cannot be on the floor. Because when you bring a woman back to your place and then she opened the door and then you walk in and she sees a bowl on the floor, she's like, ooh, okay, he gonna kill me. I picked wrong, that was my bad. He didn't even have a murdery face, but a bowl on the floor makes it look like she not gonna be here long and neither are you. This is where you bring people to kill people. It just, I can't stress it enough. I know that we don't care. We don't care. We're happy. It takes very little for us to be happy. We're happy. But if you plan on having any female companionship, I don't even mean sex. If you just plan on having female friends, then you need to be able to put your things on things. Like, that's not a crazy ask. Just, it's the amount of the amount of friends I have that don't have a chair is so I understand if you don't have a dining set. I understand if you don't have a bunch of chairs, but you live here. Don't you want to sit? Like, this is just one chair. I don't know. Please don't put your books on the floor. Please do not put your books on the floor. You could have the thickest books. You could have War and Peace and Paradise Lost next to each other. But if they are on the floor, she's gonna be like, he can't read. He can't read. That's a door stop. That's not, he not cracking that open. That's a paperweight. No? You don't even need books. If you had a bookshelf and put 2 magazines on, she'd be like, what a cultured individual. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, the amount of friends I have that are oblivious about this. Like, I'll have a buddy call me, I'll ask him about his day. I'm like, how'd your day go? He's like, man, it was all right. We were having a good time, went out for dinner and everything. Then she get back to my place, she want to get all uppity and leave. I was like, you brought her to your place. You brought her to the place that we hang out. You brought her to the place that I've been, where you live, where you sleep. I'm surprised she didn't call the police. Because that's my thing, it's just, where your things are in relation to the floor is where it looks like you are in life. So I'm just saying, just elevate. Just to table height. Just elevate. There are good men. There are good-looking men that are good men that are a good table away from a good woman. All right? You're so close. It's not even your personality. It's the fact that it looks like you live outside, inside. That is what is doing you in.
Like, I get it. I was broke. When I moved to Chicago, I had no money. And I got my first place, and I slept on an air mattress, which was the floor. The air separating you between the floor and where you are, that's not real bed. That's floor. It is floor. I can admit that. That's floor, right? So I was sleeping on the floor with some comfort, okay? So I get it. When you go out into the world on your own for the first time, make something of yourself, you may not have all the money, you may not come from money, you may not have resources. I'm not telling you to get the whole IKEA setup immediately or anything. I'm just saying you should have enough furniture that if you bring a woman back to your place, you have just enough going on to look like you were robbed. That's all I'm saying. Just when you bring her back to your place and you have to make the bookshelf everything, you gotta make it the kitchen cabinet, so then she sees a bunch of forks on the bookshelf and her face starts to screw up, you can turn around and be like, they got me. They got me. I knew this wasn't a good neighborhood, okay? Let's go to your place where it's safe, baby girl. Do you know what I mean? Okay. I have to leave soon. Did y'all see the Alaska flight? The Alaska Airlines, okay, if you didn't see it, basically a piece of window popped off of the flight, mid-flight, it was still flying, it was still in the air, and some window came off, and then just a bunch of plane came off, like a door's worth of plane, it might have been the door, a door's worth of plane came off, and I have been so shaken because we've been shitting on Spirit for a minute. We really let Spirit have it all, and they have not had one of these happen. The whole plane get there with you when you fly Spirit. Like the plane that left is the plane that arrives, and you. That didn't seem like a lot to ask before, but now you really gotta wonder, right? And it just is so crazy because I know there were people screaming in videos and people crying and stuff like that, but by and large, everybody was so calm. It makes me wonder if if it's an American thing, if we are so bloody, if we are just so traumatized from life in America that a plane can start to come apart mid-flight and you're like, well, I did pay $68, so I guess that's fair, that makes sense. I didn't pay for the whole plane to get here, you know what I mean? I paid for just me, and right now I'm still headed there, so I guess they're fulfilling their contractual obligation to get me somewhere. I don't know. I guess I didn't pay to survive. I just gave them the money to get on. So that's my. I should specify next time that I want to get there in one piece as well as the plane. Yeah. Blown away. Because that's the worst airline for it to happen on. Because they don't. When you imagine if you taking a nap, you mid nap, right? Because you got a nap on an Alaskan flight. You have to, because they don't have the TVs. They don't have the TV, so the only thing to entertain you is your dreams. All right. So then you go to sleep, and then you wake up, and everybody's screaming, and it is louder, right? It is just louder in here now, and a little cold because we are in space. That is way too high to be losing some plane. You know what I mean? And everyone was so calm, even in the post-interview after, when they landed, and then they were asking people what it felt like, what was happening. There was one woman, I understand that she was probably nervous, and so she was nervous giggling, but there was one woman who was acting like it was a Six Flags ride. Like, she was just like, yeah, and then a little piece came off, and then, I don't know, we were all like, what do we do? You know, and like, I don't know, I had no idea. Like, it was so crazy. This has never happened before. Like, has it happened to you before? I don't know. I've been on Greyhound buses where people got more upset about a dump in the bathroom than these people got about a piece of plane flying off. As Americans, we gotta start acting like we used to something. Like, this is really distressing that they beat us bloody so much in our travel experiences that we're like, yeah, I guess I'll choose aisle from now on. Do you know what I mean? That's what's up. Because then one of the most amazing things, this is a miracle. This is a genuine miracle. I'm very happy that no one on the flight was hurt. But then there were 2 seats. The 2 seats next to where the plane decided to stop being a plane, those 2 seats were empty because those 2 people missed their flight, which is incredible, right? You love a story like that. It does make me wonder about that third person, because that means that third person was sitting there. Like, did they take a nap and just wake up like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, where do you go from here? Okay, so I'm going to Montana this weekend, and both my flights were Alaska. Both of them were Alaska, and I didn't even have enough self-respect to switch airlines. They had to call me. They had to call me. At midnight last night, they had to call me and be like, it's not gonna happen, dog. Like, that's the closest to a breakup I felt in a long time. Like, I didn't have the self-respect to leave, and then they had to be like, you not for us, okay?
You know him, you came here to see him. Y'all go crazy. Josh Johnson is here, everybody.
My friends had a baby, right? And a lot of my friends are having babies either this year or some of them already had them last year. Basically, since the pandemic, I guess my friends have had a lot of time together. Okay. Basically, I met one of my friend's babies, and I could tell that I was the baby's, like, first black person. Like, I could tell. It was just so apparent. It was like, as soon as we looked at each other, he was like, he went through all of the emotions at one time. Like, because when they rolled him over and he looked at me, he was like, oh. You know? And it was an odd feeling. I didn't even bring it up. I could just tell. You know what I mean? Like, I could feel it. And look, I'm not even saying it's the baby's fault. The baby got a white family. Hadn't got around to exploring the world yet, you know? I was the baby's first black person, and it made me think about, I don't know if I fully remember the real first time, but I kind of remember what I at least think was me meeting my first white person. It's very important that the day before this happened, I was at like a family picnic, right? I was at this family picnic and extended family had come. So I'm seeing cousins I don't normally see, and like all of the older people are there and everything. And so some of the kids are playing, some of them running around, right? There was one kid that was running around, knocking a bunch of stuff over, one of my older cousins, right? And he had to be like maybe 8 or 9 or something, but he's running around, and his parents were telling him, hey, slow down or stop or be still real quick. We're about to eat, all that stuff. And then he's still running around, knocking drinks over every once in a while. And finally, my great aunt, his grandma, as he was passing, she did that grandma move where she just snatched him real quick, right? Like, even his parents couldn't catch up. His parents were running like, come on now. She was like, pow, like it was incredible. She snatched the little arm and stopped him right there. And then she looked at him and he looked at her. And then she said through her teeth, so you know she meant it, right? She was like, if you don't be still, I'm going to slap the black off you. So the next day, when I met this kid, all I could think was, it can happen. Ooh, I gotta be extra nice to him. Something clearly going on at home. I was watching documentary about like serial killers and like sociopaths and stuff, and how basically they do these profiles where they try to identify whatever these like specific things are with their personality that make them the way they are, right? A lot of the traits and a lot of the signs. And one of the things they were saying in the documentary is that one of the best things you can do for anyone that's suffering from these sort of things is to find it as early as possible. That way you can help them before they do harm, you know? But then they also said that it's difficult to identify some of these traits when people are kids, because a lot of the list of what like psychopaths and sociopaths do as kids is a list of things that kids already do. Not the full list, but like a considerable amount of it, you know? And one of the things in the list is long-term bedwetting, right? Like bedwetting at like 13, 14, whatever, right? And it triggered a memory for me. Because when I was little, I had to be like 12 or something. I got invited to a sleepover, which was a big deal for me. I'm an only child, you know. Getting invited to a sleepover as a kid is like going out to the club as an adult. You know what I mean? It's the same energy. It's like me and my boys ride tonight. And so we got over there and we're having a great time. We're watching movies, we're playing games, we're like in the yard playing football and stuff. But it wasn't until it was time to go to bed that I realized that there was a hierarchy here. Because the kid who invited us, that was hosting us, only had so much room in his room. So his closest friends stayed in his room with him. And the rest of us stayed in the living room, right? And his parents made these little bulgy, like blankets and stacks of quilts and stuff for us to sleep on and everything. And I know it shouldn't have been a big deal to me because we had been playing all day. But if you've ever been to a sleepover, you know that when you're supposed to be asleep is when the good stuff happens. That's when the real conversation is had. And that's when all the memories get made. And I'm out here in the living room with the losers. So I get ready to go to bed, right? And I was laying with this other kid because it was 2 to each for everything. And it's not really important to the story, but the kid's name was DeMarvin, right? And so we fall asleep and I wake up middle of the night. Don't even know why I woke up, you know? And I notice when I wake up that just like the side of my leg and the side of my elbow are wet. And so I look over and DeMarvin not there, but his whole spot is wet. And I sat up, and as I sat up, I looked up and DeMarvin was sitting across from me watching me sleep. That's strike one, all right? Any child who watches you sleep, that should be on the list right there. And not only is he watching me sleep, he got his legs crossed. That's strike two. How you gonna sit there and cross your legs and watch somebody sleep like a villain? He's watching me sleep, has his legs crossed, and when I sit up, you ever so scared you assume you're not awake? It was so freaky to just see him there already staring at me. I was like, I'm tripping. I need to go back to bed. This kid looks at me, legs crossed, and goes, Joshua? That's strike three. Full name? Full name. We're both kids. Full name? You're the devil. This kid looks at me and goes, Joshua, I've wet the bed. gonna tell everyone it was you. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, what? How does that even make sense? Like, I'm the side of my leg is wet. Your whole spot was wet. People saw you sleep here. What are you talking about? You gonna tell everybody that I wet the bed? And then he goes from this like crazy intense stare to his face softening, and he's like, do you ever change your clothes? And as soon as he says it, I get it. As soon as that kid says that, I fully understand. Because that's gotta be terrifying. You know, you're at a sleepover, maybe you don't get invited to many, and you wet the bed? You're around a bunch of 12-year-old boys and you wet the bed. You'll never live it down. Wetting the bed at a sleepover at 12 is like wetting the bed when you go out clubbing with your boys. It's like, you killing the whole vibe right now. I knew we shouldn't have invited Jerry. He wetting the bed. Can't handle his liquor at all. So as soon as he said it, I got it. I really did. I understood. I was like, dang. That's tough, right? I don't know what I would do. I wet the bed. I'm trying to make friends with other kids. I'm a living room kid as well, so I'm already a loser. And then I wet the bed. I wouldn't live it down. And so I looked at him. I was like, man, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I only have the clothes that I have. I don't have any extra clothes. And then he goes, oh, okay. And I don't know where he got it from, but as soon as he said okay, he grabbed a cup of water, he threw it on me, right? And as soon as he threw the water on my crotch, I was like, ow, what's wrong with you? And the first kid woke up, and DeMarvin was like, Josh wet the bed. And this is my thing. It would have been so much simpler to wake up in the middle of the night, realize that you wet the bed, go to the kitchen, which I'm assuming he went to, grab a mug, which I'm assuming he did, fill it with water, which he must have had, and then just poured it on me while I was sleeping. That would have been so much easier. I wouldn't have known. I would have woken up and been like, damn, y'all, I'm sorry. I thought I was done with this. I'm killing the vibe right now. It's so much more insane to wake up, realize you wet the bed, sit across from me, wait for me to wake up, staring at me the whole time, crossing your legs, saying my full name, telling me your plan, and then throwing water on me. I don't know where DeMarvin is now. I'm assuming that he's alive and well. But I do know for a fact that someone, somewhere, is dead. My other friends had kids in like 2022, 2023 and stuff. So then their kids are like at that age where they're like over a year old. They're basically at that age where you keep still saying like months. You know what I'm talking about? Like, nobody can just say, like, 1.2. I don't know, it's just as accurate, you know what I mean? Don't make me do the math. Because anything past 12, but I know 12 months is a year, right? I know 18 months, year and a half. Once you hit me with a 27 months, I'm like... And so their baby is 16 months. 1.6. And they have a beautiful little boy, right? But it's funny, I didn't even think about this until I was hanging out at their house, you know. When it comes to our nature as people, right? We have the id, we have the ego, we have the superego, right? The id is like your lowest form. It's the impulsive part of your brain that is repulsed by pain. It's excited by pleasure, seeks it at all costs, right? The superego is your judgment. It's sort of your higher self in a way. It's how you weigh and balance some of your actions. A lot of religions attribute it to like the God in us trying to tell us what's right and wrong morally. And the ego is what mediates between the id and the superego. So then you'll have an id moment. Superego will judge it. Ego will process it, right? Id is like, I would very much like to sleep with this person. Superego is like, don't do that. That's your friend's wife. And then ego is like, but she's so hot. Didn't say this was all going to be a good person, right? But it's interesting being around babies because babies are all like cave person. They're all id. They're not weighing anything yet. It's just, I would like to do that. I'd like to not do that. They're not thinking about the bigger picture, right? There was one point where my friend sat her baby down in his little seat, right? And she laid her coffee on the counter, right? And then she had to go grab something else. And as soon as she laid the coffee down on the counter, the baby looked at the coffee. And you could tell, and I don't know why I do this, but I always give babies in my head, I always give them deep voices when they're thinking, right? Because I saw the baby look at the cup and was like, the coffee is in the cup. But what if it wasn't? And so then this baby went to knock the cup over, right? Knock the cup over and just go ahead and watch the whole spill. And I don't know how, but babies are fast and slow at the same time, right? Because so she sat the baby down, walked away. The baby looked at the cup and looked at me. I looked at the cup and looked at the baby. And I swear, as soon as I started moving to stop the baby was like, oh! As soon as we locked eyes, it became an emergency. I gotta get this cup over. I have full legs. I was running at this baby. I was running at the baby to stop him from knocking off the coffee so hard that I was scared I wouldn't stop. I was scared I was gonna take out the coffee and the baby, right? But I'm trying to make my way across the room and the baby just, oh! And right as he slapped the cup of coffee over, I got to him and I pulled him up and away from the coffee, and he was just looking at me. Like looking me in my eyes, you know? And he didn't say anything, but you could tell he was thinking, I win. I don't know if y'all saw what's happening in LA. But the Archdiocese in LA just settled for $750 million with the lawsuits of everyone who had claimed abuse while they were patrons of the church. $750 million. I think $800 million when you count in some other stuff. That brings the Catholic Church's total payout to $1.5 billion. Anyone else would be closed. That's so much money. $1.5 billion that you had. You had $1 billion to pay out with. That's crazy, you know? There's no other company I could really think of that could do that much harm and be able to afford the payout. You know? You'd have to be like a gun manufacturer or something. It's so jarring, you know? I think that's what really bothers me about it. Is like there's the payout, and anytime someone has to pay, even if it hurts a little to pay, if they had the money, it feels like less justice because they had it. You know, you gotta make them pay a number that they genuinely don't know. I don't know if we can do. Good, that's exactly how much I want. You know, $1.5 billion worth of damage that you also admit you did. You know, this isn't like hush money. This is a settlement where everybody knows what happened and everybody knows how you handled it. You know, that's so jarring. And it makes you, how can that not affect your faith? You know what I mean? You went to this place. This is supposed to be the safest place in the world. This is supposed to be the place where you like lay down every burden, not pick up extra. Do you know what I mean? I don't even know where you go from here. It's beyond PR. You can't be like, but we also donate a lot to... I don't know if I want you around anybody right now. That's my thing. I don't even just care about the money. I'm glad that they had to pay, and I'm glad that, you know, survivors are getting something for all those years of trauma, all those years of therapy, all those years of like trying to navigate the world, and people looking at you like it must be you. If you're dealing with something all day, it does not escape your mind, and you can't even hold down a job because the way that people are around you affects everything that you do. I'm glad that they have something in return from that, you know, because you can't undo what's been done, right? But like who's in jail? Is anybody in jail? We always forget that jail would be better. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure that that's what they want, but it takes so long to get justice. Half of the monsters are like dead. And then the other half are like still alive, but then there's like statute of limitations, which I don't know. I don't fully understand statute of limitations because I understand that it's constitutional to have a fair and speedy trial, right? But we don't seem to do that either. You know what I mean? Like if Young Thug's trial can last 75 years, why can't you be like, you too? Get over here. I know it was a long time ago. Doesn't change the fact that you did it. You know? That's what's so painful about it too, you know, because then it affects you whether you know it or not, whether you're, you know, like Christian, Catholic, whatever. You try to tell somebody about Jesus and they're like, oh, I've heard. Do you know what I mean? It's a burden that we all carry. It's a weight that like is inescapable, and it happened to. In a way, it happened to all of us. Obviously not in direct enough of a way that I'm like claiming some victimhood or anything, but it also, you yourself might trust this person that you find out is a monster, which then makes you question everything this person said to you. Maybe they didn't do anything to you, but they did something so horrific to someone else that you're like, how can that person that did those things be right about what happens when you die? Like, I know the two seem like they don't have anything to do with each other, but they are so directly related because this person is basically telling you the keys to a good life, the keys to being a good person, and the keys to salvation. And then you realize that they were dangling those keys over someone else to keep their silence, right? That's too heavy, you know? I don't even know where you would go from here. Because nothing that is said by anyone in the church seems to fill the void that the church has created, both between people and themselves and between the people who had harm done to them and the way to redemption. It's just so far, you know? And the people writing now, the people who write for the church, the people who are the spokespeople, the people that we see, they don't have it like that really. Like they're like when they say their words, it doesn't hit like the Bible hit. There's no thous that can bridge the gap that's been created, right? There's no ye's that make me feel better. You know? Because I don't know. What is the truth taught by a liar? Do you know what I mean? Even if you really believe, you believe it from the bottom of your heart, this guy, this Weinstein is going to be the guy who spreads the word? That seems short-sighted. And then how they handled it too, because they handled it like the mob would handle it. You know? They didn't look at those people, those patrons, those souls that they have a responsibility to, that they took up the responsibility to. No, I personally don't know anyone who was made to go to seminary. Everybody there is a volunteer, you know? And so you'd find out. Sometimes it was the priests themselves telling their superior, I got a problem, right? And the superior was like, we'll get you out of town. That was the move for a long time. It's why so much damage was done, you know? If your toilet is broken, you get it out the house. You don't move it to another family's house to ruin their life. Do you see what I mean? You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know. I know I kind of like land on this thing a lot. And so I'm doing the point a disservice, you know? Because a part of me hopes against hope that I don't care how it happens. I want everything that those priests were teaching to be real, right? I want it to be the truth. So that way we all know in our hearts that there's a hell. And I know that's like way more fire and brimstone. That's not like the uplifting message or anything, but I don't know. I just feel like it would be nice. It'd be nice to, you know, finally get justice. 20 years too late, the person's passed away, and then you're like, nah, God got him. You know?